All right, so it looks like we've got another video here about Bernie Sanders' own fans turning on him. Now, we just did a video on this like 4 days ago when Bernie tweeted out to people to go vote for Christy Smith in the California 25 election, and people got really angry about that. That one didn't really make all that much sense to me personally. Now, there's the HEROES Act, which has now been passed by the House. The House Democrats had crafted this piece of legislation. This is meant to be the most recent Roney response and relief bill. And so Bernie Sanders 2 days ago, sent this out. He says, "Let me thank Speaker Pelosi for recognizing the enormity of the Roney crisis and coming up with a number of important proposals. In my view, the Senate must improve this bill to adequately address two urgent needs: healthcare and economic security." He says, first, instead of subsidizing COBRA, which would be a massive giveaway to the health insurance industry, I believe Medicare must be empowered to pay all of the healthcare bills of the uninsured and underinsured until this crisis is over. Second, any legislation in the Senate to address the economic crisis must include a provision to guarantee 100% of the paychecks of workers up to $90K a year. This is what is being done successfully in many European countries and what should be done here. By the way, this was Pramila Jayapal's proposal that she had proposed that got swatted down by Pelosi and her goons. And then he says, finally, I believe the Senate must substantially expand direct emergency payments to working families. In my view, one additional $1,200 check is not enough. The Senate must provide a $2,000 per month emergency payment for every American until this crisis is over. So, very, very good substantive legislative points that he's saying that we need. COBRA is a giveaway to private insurance companies. It's a terrible program, and so he wants to say, no, we want Medicare to be empowered to cover all these people who are now, because healthcare is so stupidly tied to employment. Now that there's millions of people unemployed, well, you don't have health insurance anymore. So he's saying Medicare instead of COBRA. He's saying that provision to guarantee 100% of paychecks of workers up to $90K a year, and then he wants $2K per month payment to every American. So those are his proposals, very solid proposals. But it looks like they didn't really look at that very interesting. They didn't really pay attention to the proposals themselves. They focused on the beginning, which is, let me thank Speaker Pelosi for recognizing the enormity of the Roney crisis and coming up with a number of important proposals. Now, everybody, here's one, says, instead of thanking Pelosi, I really wish you would have showed up to that vote so we wouldn't have the FBI searching our internet histories whenever they feel like it. Bernie, I don't want to attack you, but I feel like something very bad happened to you politically. Now, there's this weird notion going around. This is the funniest one. Now, one thing I'll say, that the whole FBI vote that on the amendment, that was bad, and I need an explanation from Bernie as to why he wasn't even there. The dude didn't even show up to vote. Like, how are you going to do that, bro? This is a seriously important vote. You're not even going to show up? Like, that's some really bad stuff, and I still need an explanation for that from him. I'm expecting one soon, hopefully. I'm demanding one. But there's this weird notion that I'm seeing from Bernie supporters that Bernie Sanders, they did something to Bernie. Like, oh, they threatened him. It's like, you guys are weirdos, dude. Like, this is like what your fantasy that you've created of Bernie Sanders is hilarious because it's never existed. And so I've already gone into, I don't know if I did a video on this or not, but the relationship of Bernie Sanders with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and all those people is very cordial. Okay, these are things that he's never getting into fights with them. It just doesn't happen. He's always, been a guy who, like, after Trump won, who was the first guy on the front lines to defend Obamacare? It was Bernie Sanders, and they love that. Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi love that because he gets to, he's helping them big time on that. So I don't know where people got this weird notion from. They just created this mythical being in their head that Bernie Sanders is constantly battling Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and all the corporate Democrats. No, they actually have pretty cordial, non-combative relationships, and I'm not really sure where you're getting this from. Justin Jackson of the Chargers, it says gross. This one says, look how they blanked my boy, praising Pelosi. You broke my heart, Bernie. It sucks, man. People saying Shahid for change. Funny enough, a little fun fact, actually. You apparently don't even have to have a seat in the House to actually be Speaker of the House. Fun fact of the day. I didn't know that until recently. This one says, stop thanking these people for giving away our tax money to lobbyists. This one says, F Pelosi. I mean, the tweets here are just, nonstop pretty much. But you get the point. So they focused on this point. Now, it says, let me thank Speaker Pelosi for recognizing the enormity of the Roni crisis and coming up with a number of important proposals. It's a pretty bland statement. And I'm not going to fully say that the outrage is totally unwarranted. I think that, maybe he could have said something different, but I don't know what they were expecting him to do. They were expecting him to say, Nancy Pelosi is a sellout or whatever like that. I'm not really sure what they were expecting, because that's just never been Bernie. It's not really a feasible way to sort of get policy through or anything like that, or maintain relationships. But I could understand this situation. I guess I could kind of understand, even though they don't seem to really be focusing on the proposals that he's giving. I guess that's kind of like the fast food type of politics stuff and the outrage machine that has been created. But I can kind of understand it, but also kind of not. So I'm kind of in the middle of the tank of this one. All I got to say is, listen, Bernie's never had a combative relationship with Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. It's just never been the case. They've always had cordial relationships. So whatever this weird mythical being that you've created of Bernie Sanders in your head just simply doesn't exist. It's not a thing. It's not. So he's not going to come out and call Nancy Pelosi a sellout or anything like that. He's just not going to do that. It's not his thing. And nor is it really a realistic way to get change. Now, could he have worded a little bit different? Sure, yeah, maybe. Maybe he could have. I'm not sure. Maybe. But I don't know. I'm a little bit iffy on this one. I mean, all he did was really add that little portion in there. But yeah, I don't know. Those are my thoughts on this.